Hey, Roman. Welcome to the show. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Hey Brian, my name is Roman Golshteyn. I'm the president of the Computer Guy LLC. We call it TCG. It's a cybersecurity and managed IT services company in Metro Detroit, Michigan.
Tell me how your background led you to be the computer guy.
Sure. So I'm originally from former Soviet Union. My family and I came here back in 95. We'll be celebrating 30 years in this amazing country in just a couple of months. I was 13 when we came, and I never had the opportunity to work on the computer in former Soviet Union. And when I came to United States, my parents are both engineers, very, very high level engineers. So, and they're very driven. So they wanted to learn, they wanted to continue with their profession, and they understood that they needed to learn computer skills, of course, language, so on and so forth. So they spent a ton of money on this computer. It was $2,000, which, if you can, as you can imagine, $2,000 is a lot of money today. 30 years ago, it was a ton of money. So they bought this computer, and we're immigrants. We have no money, nothing. They spend this money on their computer, and I jump on it, and I'm loving it, and I'm breaking it. And I'm just breaking it. And my uncle, who is my programmer, he just had to come every other day to fix it. So my parents were like, all right, that's enough. Let's see what we can do. So they knew some people, so they kind of put me into this quasi internship program. It wasn't anything official, but they knew some people that work at this mom and pop local computer shop, and they're like, hey, can you teach Roman some computers so he can stop breaking our $2,000 investment? So yeah, so when I was 13, I got this really unique opportunity. Basically, the very first thing that I learned after I passed their test is how to build computers. So if you can imagine a 13-year-old kid in 95 knowing how to build computers, that's kind of set me up, put me on that path. I loved it. It was so interesting to me. Shortly after I graduated, I got a job at a local law firm. It was a pretty sizable law firm. I think they had 300 or 400 people at the time. And I was on the help desk. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. It was just dream come true. I'm working at a professional company, doing things that I really enjoy doing. While I was there, I was focusing on learning. I learned a lot of stuff. I got several industry leading certifications. And after 4 full years of being there, at the ripe age of 22, I decided to leave that organization that was very kind to me and started the Computer Guy. So yeah, so that's kind of how I started. It was back in 2005. The idea, though, and by the way, the company has changed over the years substantially. But when I started the company, let me take you back to 2005. People were still using laptops were not very widely used. Everybody was using towers and such. So if computer broke, what did people have to do? Well, they had to get under the desk, unplug it, then take the computer to a computer shop, leave it there for 3, 4, 5 days, a week, maybe 2 weeks. Then when the computer is fixed, they had to do the same thing, right? Bring the computer home, get under the desk, hook it up, hopefully correctly, and then hopefully it worked. Hopefully, like, it didn't damage anything during the transport. So the idea behind starting the Computer Guy was like this: yo, I'm gonna come to your house. You don't have to take the computer anywhere. I'll come to your house. I'll fix it for you. It'll take me 1, 2, maybe 3 hours. You'll pay me, and I'll go. I was pretty good at fixing computers, or I thought that I was pretty good, and I thought that I can do it. And that's kind of how we started. And the name, the Computer Guy, I was thinking, what name should I give the company that will make it super easy for people to remember? And how about the Computer Guy? I mean, there's a plumber guy, electrical guy. Why not there be a computer guy as well? So that was back in 2005. Over the years, of course, we've changed some. I would say matured. We've significantly matured, and now we have 14 people working at the organization. We're looking for 2 more. And the strange part about it is that or not strange, but like maybe a little awkward part is we have ladies working at the company. So we have this company called the Computer Guy, and we have ladies working, and it's like, okay, we like really have to rebrand it, and we are kind of starting on rebranding, and we're just like, okay, we're not gonna call it the Computer Guy anymore. We'll just call it TCG. So, but anyways, I feel like I went off on a tangent, but that's kind of how we started.
No, I love that story. So, how has the brand and the services evolved over the last 20 years? I assume that your team is no longer crawling under desks to fix computers.
Sometimes we do. So we're focusing on cybersecurity and IT services. In the beginning, it was just IT services, managed IT services. Our clients pay us a monthly fee and we handle everything for them. But we've matured, and I don't think maybe in this position we've evolved into being a cybersecurity first managed service provider. So we do a lot of cybersecurity, but we also support our clients' day-to-day IT. So every now and then we'll have to get under the desk and do stuff, maybe swap out a computer. But yes, sometimes we still have to do that.
I guess the evolution hasn't been too far. But I would say that, right, like that supporting operationally day to day is a main component in cybersecurity. Or would you say that it's not?
Yes, it's a great question. So cybersecurity is like an evolution. It's back in the days, cybersecurity was just, hey, how do I ensure that no viruses get on the computer? And today, cybersecurity includes what kind of policies and procedures do you have in place? So there is a big administrative function to it as well. But maintaining computers, making sure that they're patched up and updated, and identifying vulnerabilities is a huge component. So it really helps the fact that we support their IT with the fact that like it helps us to oversee their cybersecurity program as well.
I read on your website that you work primarily with regulated industries. What was the draw to supporting those industries specifically?
Yeah, that's also a good question. So I think that kind of happened organically. The part of information, the subsection of information technology industry that I found very interesting to me was in the realm of networking and connectivity. And it was just like really interesting. The idea of connecting systems and communication between systems I found super interesting. And then the evolution from that was that, well, hey, how can I get into your system? And as a kid, I was being goofy and playful, and just that's all that I'll say about that. But when I started doing it for a living, then I'm like, okay, how do I protect my clients from somebody else who's trying to get into their systems? And regulated industries must keep data protected. So it was just a very natural and organic attraction.
Yeah, we don't want to get you on any sort of FBI watch list. I think that's the last thing that we want with having you on the show. But I mean, I understand having the curiosity of being able to, especially networks, connectivity, the internet, being able to see what else you can connect to. I understand that. And then understanding that there are certain industries who have a lot of information that need protecting. So I would agree that that's probably a pretty natural evolution for you, especially, working at a law firm early on for 4 years who have a lot of information. That's kind of a regulated industry. You want to make sure that they stay protected. So like to go off and do your own thing, and it makes sense.
For sure, but initially when I started, it was all consumer, it was all residential. It's like, Brian, you use a computer, when it breaks, call the computer guy. I'll come, I'll fix it. Over the years, I started picking up small businesses, and yeah. But initially, I just want to play with technology and fix computers. That 22-year-old kid, what can you expect?
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I remember I would consider myself lucky because I grew up in a very technologically advanced household. We always had a newer computer at the house, and I remember just burning through the free AOL trial CDs
Yeah,
We just
yeah,
have a
for sure.
stack of them. You
Yeah,
just go through them one after the other after the other. Once your minutes were up, you're like, okay, the next CD goes in. Yeah,
right.
I had a very similar misspent youth on a computer.
Right, and you brought up AOL, right? So you send somebody an instant message, and then all of a sudden their computer locks up, or they get disconnected, and they had to like reconnect, and just doing like funny things, or hearing about those things. Let's just put it like that. Hearing about them.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the trends in IT and cybersecurity. I know that a lot of industries have seen a huge impact with AI over the last 18 months or so. I mean, what challenges or opportunities has that brought to TCG?
Wow, that's a deep question. I'll just say AI is very overwhelming. That's kind of like what I'm finding. And what I mean by overwhelming, there's just a lot of it just seems like everybody's talking about AI, and sometimes people just get stuck. They don't know where to start. As far as the what we're doing at TCG, we're trying to use AI for automation and cutting out steps in processes. We're also we're also trying to educate our clients on what AI is and how they could similarly implement it for basic tasks. I think we're just scratching the surface of AI, and I use AI on a daily basis, but I think we're just scratching the surface of the possibilities and use cases. And surprisingly, a lot of people are still not using AI. I say surprisingly because I use it all day, every day. So when I find out that somebody's not using it, it's a little surprising. So I kind of like went on this mission to try and train and teach my clients that hey, AI is not it's not overwhelming. It's easy. Let's just start working with it. Just yesterday, I did a training with two executives, and I've introduced ChatGPT to them. Basically, I showed them how to navigate it, and we've used AI to identify solutions to some of their basic problems that they're trying to solve. In the beginning, when we started, I asked them like, "What do you guys think? What are your impressions? What do you think we're going to be doing today? What do you think about AI?" And the answers that I got was like, "Well, we're curious about it. We are a little bit overwhelmed." By the end of that training hour, I've showed them how we can chat with AI. I've talked to them about prompts, how important prompts are, how basically showed them the basic use cases of ChatGPT and ensured that both of them have created free accounts. And yeah, but before we were done, they kind of took it on their own and they started playing with it. So to me, that was a success. So I'll stay in touch with them, and we'll follow up with them in a few weeks to see how their progress is going. And if you like, I can report back, let you know
Yeah,
how
no,
that's
I
how
think
that.
that would be really interesting because I would agree. I think that there's a lot of people who just seem overwhelmed by AI. As a tool itself, it's not overwhelming. However, by the number of sheer tools that are coming out and in figuring out the best use case for each of the tools, that could be quite overwhelming. Just figuring out the standardization for an organization, especially in a regulated industry, what tools to use, like how to use it, making sure that you're using it without exposing any sort of critical data. Like, I understand why someone in that capacity would be hesitant to really lean into it, whereas someone like you or I, we support people in a different way. Yes, we have a much larger capability of using whatever we want. We have a lot more leeway to be able to like, yeah, I like ChatGPT for this, but I also like Claude and Perplexity, and I like what's the one I've been playing with recently?
Is it
Firebase
Grok?
Studios.
Okay.
It's Google. So yeah, I mean like a lot of stuff like that.
I agree. So there are two things, and you correctly pointed them out. There is the actual how do I, as an individual, use it as a tool, and then number two, how do I ensure that my company is protected, and how do I ensure that my clients are protected? Because it's one of those. I feel like people are looking at AI, and I I'm guilty of the same. It's like one of those like black boxes. Like what's inside the box, nobody knows. So you don't want to like really unleash it on all of your data. So how do you do it in a way that's mindful and smart? I guess that would be the best way to.
Yeah, but it's funny, like, but to your previous point, there are human inputs required in order for you to be successful with AI. The prompt itself has to be like the better you are at prompting, and I think that educating yourself on prompt structures is one of the big things to be able to maximize your output. But so I've had this conversation a few times where it's AI is kind of a human sandwich, right? There's the input that you give it, and then you have to interpret the output and make sure that what you got out of it is exactly what you were looking for. If not, you need to go to step one and revise.
Right, right. But then this, you know, when we're talking about the output, how do you ensure, right? And I think it's a issue to be solved, right? And I think you know where I'm going with that. How do you ensure that it's not hallucinating? Because it will look you in the eyes and it will tell you exactly with 100% certainty a complete lie, right? And how do you discern between, especially if you don't know, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and it's evolved very quickly, and I'm curious to kind of see how that continues to evolve. And it's great to see organizations like the ones that you work with starting to pick it up and use it in more capacity. Because I think that you're right. We are just now scratching the surface when it comes to AI and automation, because we've got so many tools out there right now that allow you to automate so many just minute tasks that can free up a ton of time.
Absolutely, fully agree with you. And by the way, I really like that analogy of the
Human sandwich.
I love it. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, because
Can I use it? Can I share that with people?
100%. Yeah, take that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Because like the machine does the heavy lifting, interpretation, the analytics, the calculations really, really well. Like way beyond what we could do in, say, a day. It can do it in seconds.
Yeah.
But you need to just make sure that the inputs and outputs are what they say they are and what you expected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is your experience? You know, you mentioned playing with different AIs. What has your experience been with different language models?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously ChatGPT is like my first go-to whenever it comes to creating any sort of framework. I love to start first draft in ChatGPT. I use Claude quite a bit for actual writing prompts. I've been having some issues with it recently with hallucination. I don't know why, because I typically use a RAG whenever I do any sort of prompting, which is a whole nother topic. If I'm having to do real-time searches, I use Perplexity. If I'm having to pull in real-time data. And then I had mentioned Firebase Studios. So Firebase is similar to like Lovable, or just it allows you to kind of do like that MVP coding as well as the UI aspect of seeing what you're coding. I'm working on a side project with that, and it's been pretty good. It challenges you as a prompter, but you also have to think when it comes to creating code as product manager. Like you have to think and explain to the system, here's the product, here is how you need to think about it and create the code to support what I'm thinking. And then it's obviously a bunch of back and forth to, no, you screwed it up, now fix it.
Right. Providing context is so critical, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. No, I totally agree. So let's switch topics back to TCG a little bit. What is the biggest challenge your organization faces in the next year, and what steps, if any, have you taken to overcome it?
Yeah, we have a lot of problems, a lot of challenges that we are working through on the leadership team. The challenge that we are trying to work through this year is like this: how do we take a brand new person and train them to become a productive member of our team in terms of their ability to solve our clients' problems? And how do we do that in as short period as possible? So that's kind of like the problem that I brought up to them. And that opened up a whole bunch of discussions. Well, first we have to make sure that we're getting the right person. How do we do that? So we had to level up significantly level up our interview process. And we're not where we want to be for sure, but we're way ahead of where we were before. I mean, as I mentioned, we're going through interview process with folks right now. We're looking for 2 more people. So leveling up our interview process. Then we had to level up our employee onboarding process. How do we take this employee and set them up for success? And then once they're set up for success, it's like we're not done there. Before that's where we were done. We're like, okay, now go work, right? But no, we're not done there. Now that you're set as an employee, now that you're the right employee, you're set up for success, how do we train you and continue training, right? Because look, if you chose to be in IT, I mean, this is going to be ongoing training for the rest of your life, and it's going to be fast. So anyway, so how do we now do all of those things in a very, very, very short period of time? And it's important for us to, and we haven't solved this problem yet. We solved, we broke it down, so we're solving the bits and pieces, and it's a lot of work to be working on the business and solving this problem, but it's really important that we solve it because we're ready for scale. We implemented EOS, that's Entrepreneurial Operating System, based on the book called Traction, right here, by Gina Wickman, which kind of like set up our organization for success. Now we can scale. If once we hit off the marketing engine and we're signing on clients as we're doing, and we would like to continue doing that, we need to make sure that we are adding the staff to support it, right? Because we've all heard horror stories of growing too quickly, right? And so we don't want to grow too quickly. We provide white glove service to our clients. We really take care of them. So we don't want to focus on new clients and then not service our existing clients properly. Just the whole thing is going to fall apart. So we need to be able to solve for, as we are reaching our capacity, our technical resource capacity, how do we bring on additional resources and set them up for success properly?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of organizations face that kind of onboarding and training, and then just kind of the continuity there. Like, once you're onboarded and trained, continuing to train, making sure that those people have the resources that they need to feel supported in their role. And I think that they're like, regardless of the size of the organization, it is one of the hardest things for businesses to get right. So if you can figure that out, let me know, and we'll spin off something else on how to just onboard people and make sure that they feel supported.
For sure. And it's definitely not only a TCG issue. It's 100% industry challenge. And as you mentioned, it's not just related to IT industry, it's all over the place. Yeah. I think that identifying the right person, right? Because look, I put up a job posting and it's very, very specific. This is who I'm looking for. And I get all different kinds of, people that just apply. And I understand, I don't blame them. But taking all of those people that are applying, right? Because you also don't want to bog down the system, right? Like, we have to be working on the business. We have to be working in the business. We don't want to work, at the moment at least, we don't want to work with recruiters because, they charge a lot of money. We're trying to be fiscally responsible. So we think we can solve for that. If we solve for that, they'll save us a lot of money. But yeah, so you get all these resumes, all these candidates, and how do you like find the right person? So like in a short period of time, right? So like that it doesn't bog down our resources within the company. So yeah, so we're really focusing on that. And I'm a big believer that, hey, if somebody was able to do that, I can do it too. It's just they know something that I don't know, and I'm gonna find it out. So a lot of professional development, reading books and this and that, and yeah. But it's fun. I mean, like, I really enjoy solving these types of business problems because then I can add a little bit more value to my clients and share some of my experiences with them.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like when you set out to solve a problem, you don't necessarily think about all the business implications and thoughts that go behind it. You're jumping from one fire to the next, just trying to solve it. And then you yourself start to see that your skills level up And you had mentioned EOS, and I'll get into that in a second. But it's interesting, right? Because like you don't necessarily intend to solve all these problems. They're just kind of thrown at you as part of your new job description of being an entrepreneur and figuring it out on your own. But I wanted to go back to EOS and just ask like how that has helped evolve the organization.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's great. I'm a big proponent of EOS, but it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. How it has helped TCG. So before it was a dictatorship, right? Let's call it for what it is, right? There is Roman, the owner, the president, and we're gonna do what you know. And I don't run it. I don't run it like a dictatorship. We're just having a nice conversation. I'm being very jokingly about it, but the I guess what I'm trying to say is that it was a flat organization. That there was no hierarchy. There was me, and then there was like everybody else. So it brought a lot of structure. It took a lot of weight off my shoulders. It became very transparent. It shined the light in all different areas of the business that I didn't even know had issues. So we started smoking those issues out, right? Like I'm using this EOS terminology. This is not my terminology, it's EOS, right? So we're smoking those issues out, and it's been great. We've been on it for just under 2 years. We've rolled it out to the whole organization, and we are continuing getting better. And I would say that from a leadership team standpoint, I'm thinking about how do I develop leaders, and EOS is really helping with that. We're not self-implementing. We're working with an amazing implementer, and he's helping me develop leaders, and it's been great. It's not easy. Not easy. It's very challenging. It takes a lot of time, a lot of mental energy. But I think it's worth it for sure.
I love that. Yeah, I've had quite a few of these interviews where a lot of founders had mentioned that EOS had opened up their organization to be able to be ready to scale and grow and understand some of the problems that you also faced, where you were the final decision maker, whereas now you are lifting up a team of leaders to help support you in making those decisions. Now it's not just yours, but it also comes with relinquishing control, which obviously can be challenging for an entrepreneur who started off as someone by himself.
You hit the nail on the head, 100%. So relinquishing control is challenging. It requires growth, right? So I have to work on myself to grow, just like I'm inspiring and leading my team to grow. Continuously reading books, listening to podcasts, attending seminars. But it's a positive thing. Just earlier this week, when we had our level 10 meeting, I came up with this idea. So I'll go into it a little bit deeper. So we have this hybrid work environment: 3 days a week work from home, 2 days a week work from the office. The team chooses which days they want to work. Like, so it's not set. Like, and it's great. We've been doing it for under a year. It's awesome. But the challenges that I'm running into is that they're not seeing each other as much. Everybody's in teams and we're chatting and they're communicating, but it's like the human component is missing, right? And so we every month we'll do a company event and an outing, and it's all paid for, and we try to make it fun, and we use it for culture building and so on and so forth. But the attendance of those events has been going down significantly. And I understand that, right? Because like if somebody's choosing to work from home, why would they be driving somewhere else after work just to meet with the rest of the team for another hour or two and then drive back? So that's an issue that I have to solve. So I came up with a suggestion to my team, to my leadership team. I'm not gonna mention what that suggestion was, and they're like, "Roman, what are you thinking? What are you trying to do? You're trying to improve the culture, but it's going to have a big hit on the culture." And I'm like, "How?" So we had we IDS'd it. It's a tool: identify, discuss, and solve, to get to the root. And we came up with an alternative idea. But had I not had the leadership team in place, I would have implemented this solution that in my head was like amazing, but I wasn't looking at it from their perspective, or from the perspective that they brought to the table, which is awesome. Like, I thought that was a big win, even though we didn't implement my suggestion in the way that I wanted to implement it. I thought it was a big win that we had that structure in place to discuss it and address it.
Yeah, but now, I mean, you also have a team of sounding boards, right? You have feedback from a team who can share feedback with you and is not necessarily afraid to do so. So I think that that's also a win.
100%. And I had to work hard on that, because when we first started, our thing is that, let's be open and honest. And I can imagine from their position, they're like, yeah, right, I'm not going to be open and honest. So it took some time for me to develop that trust with them, where they felt comfortable being open and honest. And at the same time, at the same time, it's hard, because like, it's hard from the perspective that here I come with this amazing idea, or I think that it's an amazing idea at the time, and they're like, no, this idea sucks. They didn't say it like that, but they're just kind of how I talk. They're like, no, this idea sucks, and now here is a growth opportunity for Roman, right? Roman can overrule them and be like, no, we're going to run with this. But I think that if I was to do that, I would be shooting myself in the foot, because I spent all this time building them up only to knock them down when we disagree, right? That's not the proper way of doing things, I think. So, so we are a team for sure. It's a leadership team, and yeah.
I love that. Roman, you've been a fantastic guest. And at the end of each one of my episodes, I give all of my guests 90 seconds to plug anything that they're passionate about. In your case, this could be TCG or anything else. But without further ado, the next 90 seconds are yours.
Awesome, thank you. So I started recently an Instagram channel where basically I'm putting on little videos on about cybersecurity tips. Because people are always asking me, like, Roman, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm like, okay, obviously there is a need for that. Let me record a quick video, and I've been using it. Like, how do I do this? Oh, here's a video. Boom. So I'd like to promote my Instagram channel, and I try to put interesting content that business owners would find interesting, but also not business owners. I'll give you a quick example. Like, we should be operating today under the mindset that all of your passwords are known to hackers. There are so many companies that have been hacked and breached that we should just feel like, all of the information is there. And if that is the case, what prevents a hacker or a cyber criminal from opening up credit in your name? And if it happens, you may not find out about it for a while, weeks, months. One of the ideas that I recorded on that video is like this: go on Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, the credit bureaus, and freeze your credit. We don't go after getting credit on a daily basis. Every now and then you may, but not every day, right? So it's a free service. It will cost you 10 minutes of your time. Freeze your credit. And if you go and apply for credit, you can do this cool thing called thaw the credit. So you'll thaw it between this date and this date. So you don't even have to remember to go back and freeze it again. It will automatically freeze for you. So it doesn't cost you anything, but I think it's a nifty thing to know about. So my channel's got videos like that.
Awesome. I can't wait to log in and learn more.
Awesome. Thank you so much.